hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan and today got a bit of a special video for you because I knew we had a little bit more time than usual before the next game week deadline. We're in the middle of a double game week with loads of games going on constantly, so we got a bit of spare time. Let's do a special video for you guys, and we're going to do a team rating video. I'm going to be rating some of your teams. I've picked out 20 teams to rate today. The amount of teams sent to me was something like 500, 600 teams. I spent literally hours looking through your teams, selecting some to use for this video. It's going to be good. It's going to be big. We're going to be talking about actual teams, actual issues in teams, you know, actual players within the actual context of FPL, rather than speaking about players and who you might want to bring in, but not actually looking at the teams and how you can restructure your teams. Trust me, guys, even if your team is not featured in this video, you're going to find this super helpful because a lot of you guys will have similar pools of players looking through the teams. And believe me, I spent hours looking at your teams. A lot of your teams are very similar. There's probably like an 80% spine, which everyone has sort of the same pool of 80% of players. Then they might have a few differentials in there as well. So you're definitely going to see some familiarities between these teams I'm showing you today and your teams as well. So you're going to find this useful, guys. Just trust me. And if you do, please do leave a big thumbs up on the video. Super helpful, as always. Really helps the channel out. And of course, subscribe if you're new around here. Trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the month. Can only do it with your help. Please help me out. Yes, indeed. So I think without further ado, we just go on to the first team of the video. So this first team was sent to me by Fernando, and it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a basic team. It's kind of a lot of things that you might expect. You're probably going to hear me say similar things to a various amount of teams, and hopefully this is why it's going to help you. But the first thing I noticed about this team immediately, and if you're in a similar situation to Fernando, you're going to find a similar thing as well. This team has no Spurs in it. There's no Spurs players in it whatsoever. And Spurs are a team we want to be targeting because we know Spurs are going to have 2 double game weeks in there somewhere because they've got 2 fixtures already that need to be rescheduled. We're expecting them also to have a double game week in game week 26. So this is basically 3 double game weeks that Spurs are going to have all within the next couple of months. So we've got to start thinking about how we're going to get some Spurs players in, and that's why I immediately noticed about this team. Now, where is the money going to come from is always the question when we're talking about getting Son in, when we're talking about getting Kane in. Maybe you want to go for a defender, though I wouldn't be so keen on a Spurs defender. Where are we going to get the money from? The obvious places are Robertson. Robertson is not providing value for money whatsoever. We know that. 7.4 million, I think he is at the moment. All he's really getting for you each game week is a clean sheet. Yes, maybe there's, some assist potential and, he doesn't get a clean sheet every game. But straight away we can say, okay, Robertson to Cancelo. We've just saved ourselves 2.3, 2.4 million immediately by doing that. And we've got a player who's arguably going to get more clean sheets than Robertson, I would suspect anyway. So that's some money there. The rest of the money, we can potentially get rid of Salah. I know Liverpool fans watching this video are not going to like this, but Liverpool have not got a nice run of fixtures coming up. They've got no double game weeks to come up other than maybe in game week 26. And, of course, Salah's just not been performing recently. He's not been posting the stats that we like. He's not been actually getting the points, scoring the goals, getting the assists. He's not been doing that recently. So it's okay to sacrifice him. So that's kind of what I'd be doing. Robertson and Salah could kind of be sacrificed along with, maybe you can take out Adams as well. Or someone like that, because Adams is not looking amazing, is he? And we can start thinking about getting getting Kane and Son in, and an extra Man City defender, and suddenly your team looks really nice. Now this team's come in from Joe, and again I sort of seeing immediate concerns. The primary concern here is Zuma on the bench. We know that Zuma is not playing nearly as much football as we'd hoped for him to. It seems like he might be out of the team now. So straight away, we can say, okay, Zuma is eating up a lot of budget. I can't remember exactly how much he is, but he can't be much less. He's got to be around 5.8 million or still, something like that. 5.9 million maybe, 5.7, whatever. It's too much money for someone who is not even guaranteed a starting place anymore. Do we take him out and replace him with another Man City defender? Because this team's already doubled up on the Man City defence, which I really like, by the way. Really huge fan of the Man City defensive double up. If you're thinking about doing it, I'd say just do it. Don't worry. Don't concern yourself. Just go for the double City defence. But no, we can't. We probably don't want to triple up. So we'd maybe do Zuma to We'd probably go for a Manchester United defender, to be honest, because Manchester United have got some really nice fixtures coming up. They're actually keeping clean sheets recently as well, which is kind of something that's changed with their team recently. So who are we going to go for? Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka are the safest. Luke Shaw is kind of maybe a slight rotation risk, but he's been playing so well. I don't know, maybe he stays in the team, and then we can go for a centre-back. Eric Bailly has been playing well, but apparently he's not part of the main plan, so maybe go for Lindelof. It's difficult to choose exactly the right player, but your safe picks would be Maguire and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, of course. And the other thing about this team is I would probably try and find out how I'm going to get in Kevin De Bruyne. I do think you've got to triple up on Man City. They've got loads of double game weeks coming up and stuff. They've got 3 amazing fixtures coming up in the next 3, obviously starting with West Brom. It's looking really good for them, so we do want to get into Man City as well. The double up on Leeds is actually something I quite like, because the rescheduled game, Leeds versus Southampton, that's almost certainly going to be coming in game week 23, I believe. I believe it's game week 23. So if that is the case, then we're going to want to have a couple of Leeds players for that game week 23, unless it's 22. It's something around there. We don't know for sure yet anyway. It could even technically still pop up in game week 19 that we're in right now. So, we don't know for sure, but Leeds players are kind of players you want to keep hold of just until we find out some more about fixtures, because they are going to have to replay their game against Southampton. When's it going to be played? We don't know, but we know it's going to be very soon. So keep those Leeds players in your teams. Now, this team's coming from Mikael, and I kind of picked this team out as an example of a team that I actually really quite like, to be honest. It's already got the double City defence in there. It's already got De Bruyne. It's got the main man in Fernandes. We're already partway there with going in on those Spurs assets. And, Bamford with that double fixture coming up. I really like this team in general. This is a pretty good team, and probably what most people will probably be aiming to get something like this team right now. The only concerns are the bench is pretty weak, but it could be a lot weaker. Could be a hell of a lot worse, so we actually don't mind the bench too much. Lowton on the bench is a kind of a weird one, but are you going to waste a transfer swapping out your bench defender? Probably not, to be fair. So you probably just leave that as it is. But yeah, this is a really nice team. If you've got a transfer in Mikael, I would just hold it. I would just hold it for another game week. And then after that, I would perhaps thinking about doing Salah to Saka, Bukayo Saka maybe, or Emil Smith-Rowe, something like that. And then do Brewster to Kane. And then there you go. You've swapped Salah for Kane, essentially. And I think that would be quite something that you'd quite like to have going forward with these double game weeks that the Spurs are going to have. And obviously the difficult fixtures and the lack of form that Salah has. But if you want to keep Salah, fair enough. I completely understand that. But that is a way that you could, the only real way you could improve this team. But I wouldn't do it quite yet. I'd wait, hold out an extra game week. You don't need to make a transfer right now. Your team's looking good. Your team's looking sharp. Just stick with it, and moving forward, you could perhaps make that transfer. So this team is from 3PP. Maybe it's pronounced Pep. Maybe the E is like the 3 is like an E. I don't know, but whatever. This team, it kind of has a few problems, and I think the guy who sent this team in kind of identified, we have a couple of problems here, but that's fine. Your team is only ever a few transfers away from being a really nice team, so don't worry about it. We can fix this. So Zuma, like I said earlier in the video, he's a concern now. He's the player that we want to be shifting on. Ideally, Zuma to Stones, easy transfer, gain money in the bank. Lovely, jubbly, diddly, wobbly. Maybe you want to go for Ruben Dias instead if you're worrying about Stones getting rotated when Laporte comes in. But I don't know. Maybe actually Laporte comes in for Dias, and maybe there's a rotation between the 3 of them. I'm not 100% sure, but Zuma to a Man City defender is basically what you would want to be doing there. Edison there, obviously he's going to have to make way as well, because we can't have 3 Man City players. Edison sitting on the bench there. And to be fair, Edison in general, he's so expensive. He's even more expensive than your Cancelo, your Diaz, your Stones. So it doesn't make many saves because not many shots go against him. He's a huge waste of money, in my opinion, Edison. So he's got to go as well to facilitate that. So that's 2 transfers. But suddenly your team's looking a lot better already. And then we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. He is taking up a lot of budget as well. So basically, if we downgrade Alexander-Arnold, Edison and Zuma, even though Zuma technically would feel like an upgrade, suddenly we're going to be left with a lot more money, and we can start strengthening some of the other positions to an extent where maybe you can even afford to go for a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2, something like that, and we can start targeting maybe, like I said, Kane would be pretty high on my shopping list right now. Manchester United defenders looking pretty good as well. So that's the kind of direction I would be taking this team in. So this team is from Tanmay. I wanted to just do a fairly quick one on this one because this team has just come off the back of a bench boost. So this was a bench boost in Game Week 19. I'm sure a lot of you guys also bench boost in Game Week 19, and you will have a team looking similar to this. Now, what we need to do now for you bench boosters is start slowly but surely taking the money out of the bench and reinvesting it into your starting 11. So in that case, we kind of might need to wait to do 2 transfers at a time. So save, make sure you've got 2 free transfers, and then sacrifice someone on your bench, and then boost up someone in your starting 11. For example, I don't know who we could take out. Walker Peters, he's quite expensive, but perhaps I would keep him because of that double game week coming up for Leeds versus Southampton. So maybe, you know, Soucek is the one to be sacrificed there. Maybe you can bring him down to, I don't know, quite a cheap midfielder. I mean, you could go for Emil Smith-Rowe or someone like that, for example, would be quite nice to have. And then you could do 2 transfers at a time, maybe Robertson and Soucek. Or, you know, you could do something slightly different. You could just take out Soucek and you know, just get in Emil Smith-Rowe right now if that's something that you'd want to do because he's still really cheap. But anyway, the point is, we need to slowly but surely start taking a little bit of money off the bench and reinvesting it in this starting 11. Now, this team isn't super bad because there's no one really expensive on the bench. But for a lot of you guys, you're going to have a lot of expensive players on the bench, and that's not something we want. Your players on your bench can't get your points if they're stuck on your bench, so there's no point having too much money in there. So let's think about moving them on. Robertson is an obvious player to go. Like I said, we can go for another City defender. Cancelo would be my choice personally, but you know, you take your pick at the end of the day. And then, obviously, this team desperately needs some Spurs attacker. We need to get a Son or a Kane in here. One or the other, we need to get one of them in. Okay, this team is a little bit worrying in different ways. Sort of, Meslier, not only is he sort of not... Well, he's got COVID, hasn't he? But he's also playing for a defence that's not very good. Now, we do have this double game week, so we would want to be keeping him for that, presuming he comes back into the team and takes his place. But there are other problems. Mainly, there's only one Man City player, so we need more Man City in this team desperately. And also, Soucek, I feel like he is not a long-term first 11 type player, so make sure you can find a way of making sure you have a full first 11 that doesn't include players like Soucek. I don't see him as a long-term solution. I know West Ham players, they have some okay fixtures coming up. Would we be expecting too much from Soucek, particularly if Antonio is going to be the main attacking man now, who obviously is very capable of getting those goals? Is he going to be replacing Soucek in many ways in that respect? I don't know for sure. Soucek disappointed over the double game week. Maybe he could have got some more points, some goals or assists or whatever. You know, the penalty, for example, that could have been. But I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, Man City is desperately needed in this team. And I just don't think Soucek is a player long term that you should be having in your first 11. This team is from MUFC James, and I kind of picked this one out because there is a certain individual on the bench here that is terrifying me. Why would you put Harry Kane on the bench? Again, Soucek again is playing right now, and you really think Soucek, even though Soucek is playing Crystal Palace, he's a defensive midfielder who pops up with occasional goals, you know, headed goals and stuff like that. Harry Kane is probably the best striker in the league, right? So even if he's playing against Liverpool, who by the way aren't even in particularly good form, you got to play him. You got to play Harry Kane instead of Soucek. Soucek is not as... He is good. He is amazing, in fact. But he's only amazing for his price. He's not better than Harry Kane, even when Harry Kane's got a difficult fixture. So I really think Harry Kane needs to come into this team. I don't think you ever bench him no matter who the opposition is. And yeah, the same would go for any premium player. You know, if you've got a player who costs you 10 million or more, even 9 million or more, never bench them no matter who the opponent is, because they're that expensive, because they're that good. It's particularly attacking players. They're that good that they can create things, score goals in these really difficult games as well. So keep them in your teams. This team's coming from Sidby. A couple of the usual problems. We've got Zuma, who we don't really want in our team. We've got rotating goalkeepers here, which I don't really like. Obviously, the bench boost has been used in Game Week 19 for this team, and we're kind of seeing the problems from that. We've also got players like Declan Rice. A bit of a weird one. Do we really want to be starting Declan Rice ever? Probably not. What's he going to realistically get for you in your team? Not very much. I would rather have Che Adams against Arsenal. I'd rather have Walker Peters against Arsenal. In fact, I'd probably play Walker Peters just in case he can keep a clean sheet against Arsenal. You know, they kept a clean sheet against Liverpool not long ago. Did Southampton, and they've been pretty solid defensively in general. Maybe you feel like you don't want to double up with McCarthy in the defence, but really, is Rice going to get you more than that? The most points Rice gets is 3 points, 2 for playing and 1 for a clean sheet. You've got to aspire to a little bit more, I think. And yeah, I think gradually with this team, you just need to shift some of the money from the bench onto your starting 11. And for heaven's sake, get a Man City player. Get at least one Man City defender. That should be the bare minimum any of you have in your fantasy teams. If you don't have at least one Man City defender, you're in trouble right now. So get one in ASAP. This team is from Malcolm. I kind of like this team in many ways, but also I'm a bit concerned in some other ways as well. So my concerns would be Soucek is being seen as a long-term solution here. I don't know that he is. Like I see it here, we've got Maddison on the bench. You can say Soucek is really good. Yes, he is really good for his price, but is he better than Maddison? Even when Maddison has a slightly more difficult fixture? No, he's not. You play Maddison in a situation like this, you know, under all circumstances. We've also got Firmino in here, which is kind of an interesting pick. You know, when Liverpool are out of form, Firmino is probably not going to be the solution. So I feel like he's got to be on your radar as players to remove. And, you know, Kane is the obvious player that you'd want to be bringing in. It's kind of a case of, though, how are you going to fund that? Well, maybe you downgrade Chilwell to someone much, much, much cheaper. If you are looking for a super, super cheap defender, which I know a few of you guys are, because a few of you have asked me, okay, we've got Manchester City defence, we've got Manchester United defence, maybe we've got West Ham defence as well. Where do we go for after that? Where do we go? Well, Fulham are a team that I've actually really liked the look of recently for defenders, and they've got a couple of really interesting defensive options there as well. So Anthony Robertson, is it Robertson? Robinson. Anthony Robinson. He's suspended, so he's going to miss Gameweek 20, but from Gameweek 21, he's going to come back into the team. He is playing for a Fulham team that are keeping clean, well, not necessarily keeping clean sheets, although they are keeping fairly decent amount of clean sheets, you know, but they're not conceding a lot of goals, which is a good sign. And their stats look really good defensively as well, much better than you probably thought they would. So, whereas before, Fulham defenders would have been a big no-no, actually, I'm kind of looking at them now and thinking, well, where I'm looking for 4.5 million defenders, and Robinson, by the way, Robinson is 4.5 million, so super, super cheap, could be quite nice. Actually, his creative numbers are pretty good. He's taking shots. He's creating something like 12 chances in his last 4 games. So, you know, 3 chances per game. That's not bad. That's not bad for a 4.4 million defender playing for an obscure team. Super differential, obviously. It's kind of interesting. So maybe you could go down that route if you're looking for a cheap defender. And yeah, obviously Firmino just needs to be upgraded to Kane. That's what needs to happen. So this team is from FPL Boost, and when someone's got FPL in their name, you kind of think, oh, maybe they know what they're talking about. But this team obviously has got no Salah in, which is kind of rare to see a team that from an active FPL player who doesn't have Salah in their team. And I think it's really brave. And I also quite like it. I think, you know, I think you can get an advantage over people by not having Salah, because you can use all this money elsewhere on a player who's actually getting points right now, which is obviously the aim of the whole game. So this team's got Rashford instead. I would probably say is the obvious player that is coming in instead of Salah. It's quite nice. This Manchester United team, they're looking good, and they've got some really nice fixtures coming up as well. Really, really nice indeed. So that's going to be quite nice for him. But this Timo Werner up front is kind of a little bit scary, isn't it? We probably don't want Timo Werner, so it's going to be a case of he's the guy who's going to have to come out of this team whenever transfers come to blows. And also, perhaps the bench could be a little bit stronger. I would not really want to be having to play Stuart Dallas every single game week. I don't know. Maybe Soucek comes in some games. Not sure. But yeah, that's the only minor concern, I guess. But Werner is the only real player that I would say, yeah, I would not want in this team. I'm going to start whizzing through these teams for now, because I'm aware this video is getting pretty long. But we've got Billy Fidler here, a regular contributor to the FPL Mate live streams. But I kind of like this team. This is a wildcard team. It's setting up for a bench boost. It's got double Manchester United defence there with De Gea and Wan-Bissaka. Super, super safe. We've got Cancelo and Stones, so we've got double Man City defence as well. Really nice. We've got Son and Kane. So we're already set up with a multiple Spurs players. And in general, this team is looking pretty good. Now, Soucek, like I said, I don't think he's a solution to every single game week, but you've got Holding and Sofal and Smith Rowe there as well that you can rotate depending on the fixture. And yeah, this team basically just looks really, really good for a bench boost in Game Week 26. I feel like you're probably, if I was to guess exactly what a team in Game Week 26 would look like ideally for a bench boost, it would be pretty similar to this. So really, really like this one. This team from Amir, the only real concern is kind of Ziyech up front. We don't really want Ziyech. There is obviously Soucek there, but we've got Sofal that we could potentially rotate with him. Double Man City defense. We've got De Bruyne, who is a sort of essential. Maybe you can swap out Salah for Son, and then you would start to rotate, add some more money into the rest of your team and kind of strengthen it a little bit. So maybe that's the solution to that problem, so you don't have to play Soucek or Sofal every game and you get an extra one. So yeah, Salah, Ziyech out, in for Son, or maybe you could do straight Ziyech to Son, but probably not looking at the budget. But also, you've got a bench boost still, so we could look forward and start building a nice bench boost team with any funds freed up from Salah and Ziyech as well. Luigi's team here is kind of worrying because it is so weak on the bench that the weakness has extended to the first team. You should not be in a situation where you're having to play Anguissa every single game week. That's not really, it's not really ideal. It's not really that good. And also, we've still got Che Adams in there, who I would keep for this rescheduled Leeds fixture, but he's not a player I want to be playing every single game week right now because I don't think he's going to get a huge amount of returns in the next few game weeks. I would just be basically just waiting around for him to play that game against Leeds. So that's the only concern there. We just want one more, obviously, City defender in there. And we need to free up some funds somewhere. You can free up with maybe transferring out Vardy or Salah, depending on how brave you are. But we do need to reinvest in this team because it is too weak and it's too, there's nothing on the bench. There's not even enough for a full team in the starting 11. So yeah, stuff to be done. So another team coming off the back of a bench boost. It seems like a lot of people bench boost in Game Week 19. So, yeah, fair enough, guys. But it does leave you a little bit of problem. We've got double West Ham defence here, which is nice for the double game week, but I'm not sure it's nice going forward. Obviously, we've got Vardy in there, which is kind of a bit of an epic fail you would get. And again, no Salah, which is refreshing, to be fair, because so many teams have Salah in it and he's not been getting points, so I can't blame people for taking him out at all. I completely understand that. So yeah, it's a good team, but we need to get Kane in here. We need to take the money off the bench a little bit as well. Johnston, Dawson, I don't think he's very much money, but maybe you want to keep Saka and rotate him, and he's not that expensive, I suppose. But do you want to be stuck with a 4-4-2 with two West Ham defenders? That's probably something you want to be thinking about. So Fulham defenders, Manchester United defenders, that's kind of the direction I'll be heading in. This team from Ben is pretty easy, to be fair. Robertson to John Stones, that's pretty easy, or you maybe do Diaz instead. And that allows you to upgrade Soucek for someone else. But something I did want to pick up on this team is that, again, is someone playing Soucek instead of a player who actually genuinely is a really good player in Watkins. So Ollie Watkins, you would play over Soucek. Soucek is very good, but only for his price. You don't want to be sacrificing genuinely, slightly more expensive proven players for someone like Soucek. Get Watkins back in the team, and away you go. Jagraj has a big Zuma problem, so he's got to go. Who do you put in for him? I don't know. I would say a Manchester United defender, but we've got Maguire on the bench there. So Maguire, get him in the team. And I wanted to point this out for you guys because I've seen a few teams with this exact situation where you're benching Bamford when he's about to play Newcastle. Okay, fine. Bamford has not been getting a lot of returns recently, but the amount of chances that Newcastle are conceding right now, you absolutely have to play a player like Bamford. He has got to play for you this game week. Make it happen. So, I would probably, in this team, take out Zuma, take out Soucek. Again, I'm taking out Soucek, but there are better players on the bench. There are genuinely more expensive, more premium players on the bench. Just play them. Soucek could go first sub if you like. But Maguire and Bamford in, Zuma and Soucek out. That way you don't even need to make any transfers. But if you were to make transfers, Zuma would be the guy to take out of this team. Other than that, it's looking pretty good. FPL Vendetta has got a bit of a crazy problem in that there are no premiums. There's no Bruno. There's no KDB. I just wanted to share this team with you because it is, well, he's described it as mid-range madness. He's got loads in the bank. Dude, I don't know if you're playing some kind of special game where you're not allowed to pick any players above 9 million or something like that, but you've got to get in a KDB, a Bruno Fernandes. You've got to get in Harry Kane, Heung-min Son. You've got to do it, and you take out Foden, take out Mahrez, take out Zaha. There's so many players you could take out of this team and create a really nice team. So just Do it. Don't sacrifice your life with the mid-range madness. Okay, this team from Sakir is my joke team of the week. I laughed out loud when this team was sent in to me because it's like this team is trapped in a blizzard. And that's the biggest problem with this team, is that it's trapped in a blizzard. They are snowed in. Look at the white background right there. This team is snowed in. They just need a nice snow plow to come across the whole pitch, clear that snow, a nice green field you will see underneath that. And then the team's good to go. But you got to get it out of the snow. This team from Maria is pretty good, to be fair, but again, we're kind of banking on Soucek as someone you absolutely need. I kind of don't mind that because Adams is on the bench as someone you can rotate with Soucek. There's not really much else on the bench, so maybe I would recommend strengthening a little bit, but I do like Bamford and Adams for this eventual double game week that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. It's going to happen, so when that happens, you're going to enjoy having both Adams and Bamford. It's going to be something that you'll be happy about. So that's pretty fine. Defense looks pretty strong, actually. If you're wondering kind of what defenders you want to be picking, this is a pretty good defense you would want to go for, including the goalkeeper, by the way. But yeah, if you did want to make any changes to this team, again, Salah is the guy to sacrifice to start strengthening various positions in your team. But generally speaking, it's pretty strong. And finally, we're going to finish off with Ryan's team, and it's kind of it's a mixed bag. I like lots of things about it. I like Cancelo, Stones, Shaw, Martinez. It's the back four, if you like. Really like that so far on the bench, with Holden on the bench as well. Obviously, this bench boost has just been used in Gameweek 19, so we are going to think about how we're going to move up money off the bench onto the starting 11. But there's no one too expensive on the bench, so it's not too worrying there. You'd want to probably get some Spurs in this team. Pretty desperately, to be fair, so get some Spurs in. Do not captain Pulisic against Wolves. That is too risky. Don't do it, man. De Bruyne and Fernandes are sitting right there. These are open goals. Just hit those open goals. You don't need to be thinking too much about differential captains to that extent. You know, De Bruyne and Fernandes are right there for the taking. Take one of them. Don't go for Pulisic. And yeah, I would be keeping Rodrigo in the short term, definitely, because obviously, we've got this double game against Southampton coming up. So that is a reason to keep Rodrigo. So don't think about moving him on. But after that, you know, Pulisic out, Rodrigo out, and maybe Rashford out. We can replace them with Kane and or Son maybe. And we can do something like that to take advantage of Spurs' double game weeks. We need to get some Spurs in there. But yeah, there's some interesting ones. Pulisic I like as a differential, but not as a differential captain. I don't even have that much faith in Pulisic even as a differential. But there we go, guys. So that is the end of this incredibly long video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you really found it helpful. I think you will find this video helpful. I really think you do. Obviously, all these teams that were sent through to me today were sent to me via Twitter. So if you do want to get involved with this kind of stuff in future, you're going to have to follow me on Twitter, and I'll talk about there. All channel announcements and stuff mostly are over on Twitter as well. If you don't have a Twitter account, I don't really know what to do, because unless you guys have got any suggestions, there's no real easy way of you guys sending me images other than Twitter, where I can see them all in one place. Instagram is kind of a lot more difficult to do that. I don't know what other suggestions. Maybe you have some. Please do let me know if you do. But if you did enjoy this video, if you did find it helpful, like I said, please do like the video. Please do subscribe if you're new around here, as we get ever closer to 50,000. We got to do it before the end of January, guys. We've got to do it. Surely we can. Please try and help me out there if you can. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching. Loads of stuff in the description, links, Instagram, Twitter, etc, etc, etc. Go check them out if you fancy it. If you don't, that's fine. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next one. See you later, mates. Bye-bye.